Hello and welcome to Angier Hope. I'm Chris Turner, pastor at Neals Creek Baptist Church, and I'm joined today with Pastor Thomas Allen of Angier Baptist. And today we're going to talk about a topic for parents. How do you help your children to deal with peer pressure if they're facing peer pressure? Thomas, I know that when you and I were growing up, we were young adults, the big thing that we heard, in youth group was about peer pressure related to don't do drugs, don't experiment with alcohol. That was the main two that you heard over and over again that was kind of drilled into our heads. And I'm sure that there are still peer pressure around those two things even today, but peer pressure does look a little bit different. It's a lot broader. So it may be pressure to join in on picking on a certain kid or certain group of people. It may be peer pressure about what you wear, how you identify yourself. It may even be peer pressure just bullying or daring someone to act out in a certain way. It can look a lot different than just one or two particular topics.
Yes.
So, and it's something that by and large I would say is a part of growing up and going through that adolescent experience and something that kids probably face at a younger age maybe than you and I even did. So want to talk through that a little bit, how parents can help their child navigate peer pressure and deal with that. So start us off on some of your thoughts on this topic.
Yeah, Chris, I think what you're just saying there is so true because peer pressure is so prevalent, and with social media and with cell phones and with technology, our children are facing things that we didn't even face when we were growing up.
That's right. Just a few decades ago.
Yes. How do you navigate a social media world? How do you navigate this and the pressure to go with this? And there's so many things. There's so much pressure to pull your children into places that you don't want them to be, into things that you don't want them to experience.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And I think there's a couple of ways that we can react that may not be the best.
Yeah.
Some of the ways that we do that is just say no to all of it, right? We just want to just put a bubble around them. And we know that that's not really, it's not a feasible thing. We can't protect them from everything in this world.
That's
Our parents may have wanted to do that with us, but that's not a feasible option. And it's also one of those things where you can just assume the worst all the time.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that's important for us as parents to do when our children are experiencing peer pressure is to listen first. To listen to them, create relationship with them where they are and with what they are going through. Ephesians 6:4 says this: "Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord." And so many times when our greatest fears are played out in front of our eyes, right? Our child comes home and says, so-and-so asked me to do this, and we can just assume things about that conversation or what our child decided and that sort of thing. But I think if we're not listening to them first, we can provoke them and shut them off to us in that.
Yeah, it can be very easy to move right into lecture mode and say, look, you know better than this. I raised you better than this. But, you got to understand that even though, you may have faced your own sort of peer pressure as a parent once upon a time, that you're not in their shoes, right? You're not exactly in that environment. So it is important to listen to where they're coming from. Keep those lines of communication open. Create a trusting environment where they will open up to you and share. And then to be able to help them, not only guide them, give them, reinforce good truths that you have parented them with up to this point, but also to help them to think through the consequences. They are becoming young adults. They're at the point in their journey where they're not fully mature, but they are maturing. And this is part of the process, is facing things like this, because that's what adults face, right?
Yes.
We have to go through these decision-making processes. So helping them weigh out the consequences and to think about the right way to go about handling situations like this, so that they're better prepared when the next one comes.
Absolutely. And I think you're exactly right. Helping them develop those decision-making skills, that opportunity for them to see what what are the consequences? If I choose this, this happens.
Right.
That happens with whether they study for the test,
Right.
whether they go and they disobey you, or they get in trouble at school or something. Yeah. Every choice has a consequence. Yeah. And also teaching them that they can have confidence in who they are, and they don't have to be defined by what everybody else tells them.
That's it.
They have to be defined by.
That's right.
Our world imposes on us. Yeah. You have to look like this. You have to wear this. Mm-hmm. You have to buy this, or you're not cool. You're not valuable. Right. You're not worthy of conversation. That's right. And that's a lie. Yeah. Yeah. We are all created in the image of God, and you are beautiful the way you're created, and you don't have to change who you are to be valuable.
That's right. That's right. Many times these peer pressure scenarios are just because you want to fit in, right? Yes. You face that because you want to fit in. You don't want to be ostracized. You don't want that group who's doing the pressuring to then turn on you. You don't want to be their next target. And so, I think about that Bible verse that's repeated many times throughout the Old Testament where God speaks to his people and he says, be strong and courageous. And I think that's one of the foundational principles is we're got to help our young people understand that in that moment, you have to be strong and courageous. You have to stand on your own too. You have to have the confidence to do what you know in your heart is right, and to set a boundary and say, I'm not going to go along with this even if everybody else is, and I'm willing to face the consequences of that, and I'd rather face the consequences of that than I had to go along with what everybody's pressuring me to do, and then those consequences may be far worse. Weighing that out.
Absolutely. I think there's so many pieces of that puzzle. That's exactly right. And there's one other thing, having positive voices in your child's life besides yours as well, I think is a very important thing. Sure if there's a youth minister that is pouring into your child's life, that can be such a valuable thing, because that's somebody that's just a little bit older than they are, but they have faced some of these things that we as parents haven't faced. And so if they have positive voices, people that are helping them see beyond the moment, see the consequences, and see the trajectory of their life that they can't see in that moment, then that can help give them that confidence when they're faced with that choice to say, wait a minute, I remember that this is not where I need to be. There's something more to life than this. Yeah, and
I think having a good, solid group of friends around them who are good influences. We can't always control that as parents, but that's one of the great things that I think churches offer through their youth ministry is that peer group. So if you have that place of belonging, then you're less likely to try to do something foolish just to fit in and worry about, I'm not going to fit in with that group. Well, that's kind of okay because I've got this other group where I do belong. Thomas, let's shift a little bit into giving just kind of some practical advice for, we've talked about, standing on your own too and those peer pressure scenarios and kind of having the courage to stand up for your convictions. Let's talk about what that might look like. So it doesn't always mean that I've got to stand up and make a speech or something. Sometimes it's as simple as just removing yourself, walking away. Sometimes it may be, saying just a simple no, like I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to participate in that. What are some practical things?
Yeah, I think you just nailed two of them right there. Having that confidence to walk away. Yeah. It sounds so simple, but sometimes walking away can actually be one of the most powerful things that you can say there, because I am not going to continue on with this because I don't like who I am when I'm doing this.
Yeah, I'm not going to even entertain
I don't like the way you're treating those people. I don't like what's happening here. The end result is not who I want to be. So having that confidence to walk away, or just to say no, just like you just said, teaching our kids that it's okay to say no.
Yeah,
that you can say no and be confident in who you are and who God created you to be. Creating those positive friendships that we just mentioned. I think that's an important thing, that you have other voices in that moment that are like, oh, Thomas, you don't need to do this. Yeah. That is a very important thing for our children to have, but we have to teach them.
That's right.
to do that before you get to the moment of the
right.
pressure.
That's right. And I think the great thing about that is that, once your child has the confidence to kind of take that stand, they're kind of identifying, saying, this is who I'm going to be, and this is not who I'm going to be. And that doesn't magically make all peer pressure just evaporate and disappear, but chances are that maybe those people that are pressuring them, they're not going to come for that same angle again. They're not going to try that same thing again because, your child has taken a stand.
That's
and
right.
so it can really deter that in a way that if you don't face it, you don't step up to it, sometimes it kind of ramps up and it fuels that pressure.
It does.
Sometimes it feeds on kind of that weakness and tentativeness. And so sometimes it's just a matter of having the courage to say no, take a stand.
That's right. I think that is so crucial to teach our kids all of those things. And one last thing that just kind of went through my mind here, passage in 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient and love is kind.
Yeah, that's right.
We want our children and our teenagers to be young adults.
Yeah.
We want them to make all the right choices.
Right.
We want them to be perfect little young adults so they can be perfect adults.
Yeah.
But we need to be patient and kind with them.
That's
we need
right.
to be forceful. We need to teach them things, but also in the moment, we need to take that moment to listen.
Yeah.
Be patient. Realize that we put our parents through a lot of things as well. And there is a lot to be said for being patient with them as they're walking through it and walking
Amen.
through it with them.
Yes, yes. I think, growing up, maturing is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And sometimes you learn from those mistakes just as much, maybe more than you learn from the times that you got it right. So I think, using every one of those experiences as a teaching tool to help your child reflect back on it and say, all right, what did I learn here? How did that decision work out for me in the end? That's really what being a patient parent is all about, a godly parent, because that's what God does with us, right? So we want to do that with our children. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Know that if you are a parent and your child is facing peer pressure, we know that's a difficult position to be in. We want to be here for you as churches in Angier to support you in that, to support your child. So reach out to us any way that we can help. Hope that you'll take a few minutes to check out all the other videos and resources here on Angier Hope, and to like and to share this with someone else who can be blessed by it. Thank you again for watching. Know that we are praying for you and that there is a living hope, and his name is Jesus.